It's this career-defining moment. It's this moment in LCS history that I think everyone remembers. It's the Zhonyas, right? And you don't really have to say anything more than that. And everyone knows what play you're talking about. Everyone knows exactly what player you're talking about. Everyone knows what it means.
'Cause a good song never dies. It just reminds you of where you were.
It's the spring of 2017 in Vancouver, where Cloud9 and TSM are set to face off in the LCS Finals for the 6th time in 4 years. Cloud9 are hungry to end their title drought against their longtime rivals, and no one more so than Jensen. The Danish mid laner entered the LCS 2 years earlier with sky-high expectations, but so far has failed to live up to that hype. TSM thrashes Cloud9 in the first 2 games, and the mid lane matchup is no exception. It looks as if Jensen is still not ready for the spotlight, but he battles back, finding his footing in a close Game 3, followed by a dominant Game 4 to tie the series. He carries that momentum into Game 5 on Ekko, hunting TSM across the map, as he looks poised to carry Cloud9 to a championship. The stage is set at the Elder Dragon, and Jensen's career-defining moment is just one click away.
So going all the way back to when you even first joined Cloud9, kind of what was that like for you?
Replacing High was obviously a big deal because Cloud9 was a top 2 team in the league at the time. You know, some would argue even #1, right? And he was also a fan favorite as well. So there was a lot of pressure coming in to replace High, but to me, it wasn't really a big deal until I realized how hard it actually was to play without High. It was weird because I thought, you know, replacing High was just going to be like, oh, you know, he's just an NA mid, like I'm way better than him. But during the first split, I realized that like what he actually brought to the team was leadership and actually like understanding the game at a high level. And that was something I never really learned.
Cloud9 is not having the success that they were designed to have. They're not winning the championships that they're chasing, and they needed to make a change. And bringing Jensen in was step 1 of that. What I really remember most is just, this is Cloud9 trying to create a new era for themselves. Because it's like, you brought in all these new guys, you got rid of all my fan favorites, and you're not even winning, right? So what's the point?
Really, it was just Bjergsen that everyone thought was good in NA at the time. Or like, you know, the very best, right? So it was always in my head going to be me against Bjergsen, so that was the fun aspect of going to NA. You know, trying to take down Bjergsen. That sounded like a cool idea in my head. Obviously, it was a bit more difficult than, you know, maybe it should have been in my head. But yeah, I guess that's how my journey started.
Jensen came in and was incredible, and everyone was willing to admit that right off the bat. Everyone could see how talented he was mechanically, how flexible he was as a player. But then you came to the discussion of who's the best in the league, and it's like, well, you're good, but have you seen Bjergsen? And I think this was kind of somewhat the culmination of that, right? You know, they had lost them once before in the finals, lost to Bjergsen.
They're gonna give up the championship. TSM cement themselves as the most dominant organization in North American League of Legends.
Of course, yes, the heartbreak for Cloud9. I don't know if I have ever seen Jensen more distraught than in this moment. And I can imagine he is just replaying those team fights over and over and over again.
You had a feeling that TSM is favored, but C9 could do it. And it's that opportunity for Jensen to finally get out from under Bjergsen's shadow, to be able to truly kind of say, hey, no, I am the #1 mid laner. It's about me now. It's about my legacy that I'm trying to build here. And so I think everyone's eyes were naturally just drawn to the mid lane.
Welcome to the 2017 North American LCS Spring Final.
And it's the final, it seems, that we always have here. 6 out of the 9 NALCS finals are TSM versus Cloud9. This is number 6 right here. It's the big rivalry in North America.
I definitely felt some sort of pressure that like it had to come down to the mid lane matchup, and I had to be the one to create the advantages because I guess for one, I felt like I had to prove myself, and I also just thought that it would be the easiest way of winning was if I could snowball through mid, because that's how we always used to win. But in hindsight, you know, maybe that was a very selfish approach. It is a team game, so everything matters, but I really wanted to win and show that I'm the better mid laner.
How would you describe Jensen's style at the time?
I think Jensen had some swagger. I think he's a little bit of a cocky player. This is a guy that he thought he was the shit, right? He's gonna challenge you on every play because he believes that he's going to make the outplay. This is a guy that is known for having some of the best movement in League of Legends. He's gonna dodge your skill shot, he's gonna sidestep you, and he's gonna laugh at you when he does it. And it's one of those things that I think a lot of the great players have, where they have that little bit of style, that little bit of swagger, kind of cockiness, because if you don't have that confidence, you can't pull off the big plays. You can't actually, you know, succeed in these great moments because there's inherently risk in every play, right? And you've got to be able to accept that and overcome that if you're really going to be a star. And I think that Jensen really did kind of embody that style.
Obviously, I think that like the outside perspective just thought that Bjergsen was just a lot better, but I think back then Jensen was really insane, and like he just had a way of always dodging skill shots. So I remember like internally we had a lot of funny memes, you could say, about like no matter what, we just can't hit Jensen with anything, so don't even bother shooting your stuff at him. So I mean, back then he was really good, yeah.
Do you remember how you felt going into the game? Maybe sitting in seat in Champ Selects?
I was feeling super confident because, you know, we just had a really good game 4, and I was like, man, like this is the time, like I'm finally gonna win my first finals, and I was feeling, you know, super pumped. But at the same time, like I was super nervous. Yeah, I got super nervous back then, and you know, luckily I don't feel the same way anymore. But you know, there would be times where like I would get really sick and like, you know, have to throw up before the match started as well. That happened like once or twice, but I for sure had super high expectations of myself. So, you know, if I mess up, like it's for sure something that would bother me. So I would for sure think a lot of times like about the what ifs, I guess, and that's probably not the best way to go about it.
I remember Game 5 being an absolute slugfest. You know, you gave over the doomed pick of the Bjergsen Syndra. You know, everyone's thinking, what are you doing? How could you give it over? What is Cloud9 thinking? But they had the plan of this Ekko, right? Both teams are trying to get control of Baron. Both teams are fighting back and forth for like 40 minutes, trying to get Baron, trying to get some kind of control on the map. And Jensen had played such an incredible game up to that point that there was really nothing to criticize.
We did actually end up getting the Baron. And then after that is history, I guess.
C9 finally get the Baron that these teams have been fighting for.
You're like, okay, they're gonna do it. They're finally gonna overcome, and they're gonna beat TSM, and Jensen's gonna get his first title. It's just, you know, they just have to have this one next fight.
We're pretty far into the game, so, you know, whoever aces the other team is just gonna be able to push and end the game, and that's all it really comes down to. And unfortunately, we got aced. I think I tried to jump on, I actually don't even remember who I jumped on, but I just remember jumping in and getting one-shot by Syndra.
It would be really dangerous for TSM to start this Elder Drake, but they do.
Yeah, it is dangerous, but they will start it. Sneaky getting the pressure down mid lane. Contracts are available. He can seal it. This is 50-50.
TP in from Monster. Here we go.
Here's Ray.
Coming in as well. Onto Svenskeren. Sven going to try and keep them out. Redemption down. Ray dives back in. They
kill Jensen!
It's Jensen! Back.
He basically just gets exploded, you know? He gets hit by a Varus ultimate. He's rooted up. He's trying to go forward. Right, had all his cooldowns available, had the ultimate, had the Zhonyas, had everything. And, you know, Bjergsen just explodes him, basically. And you're just like, holy shit, the game is over, isn't it?
I was just watching my teammates all die one by one. I don't like exactly remember the feeling now, but obviously, you know, I've seen it happen, but it was kind of like just, you know, my body just went in shock. It was like, wow, did this really happen? Like, what the fuck is going on? Kind of thing.
I'm dead.
Oh, they killed Jensen! It's Jensen! Back. Disaster for Cloud9.
Jensen didn't get his Zhonyas off, didn't get his ultimate off. He goes down in the critical fight.
The game ends spectacularly for TSM, not for Jensen.
I remember like just thinking, you know, I so lost the game and it's all my fault. And it was very depressing and sad. You know, I was just full of regret. And just felt like I let my whole team down, really. Just sitting there on stage, felt embarrassed. There's not really anything good to say about this situation. It was just all the worst things, or all the worst feelings I could imagine was just going through my head at the time. It was just a very, very sad moment.
Oh, I lost the game solo. It's over. Oh.
It was just this shocking moment, and I remember, you know, getting to see the player cams and getting to see that realization sinking in for Cloud9 of what just happened, right? And you see Jensen, the cameras go to him, and he's just shaking, right? You know, the realization, like all the energy and all the pressure and all the adrenaline of that game, and it's all just hitting him like what has happened. And that's one of those moments that, for me, like I'll remember forever.
Do you ever expect to die in that spot?
No, because I always thought in the back of my head, you know, I will just ulti when I take a lot of damage, but it was just more damage than I expected. I thought I had really good judgment of how much damage I could take with Ekko. So I'd always play on the edge of like creating as much pressure and space for my team as possible. But yeah, it was just sooner or late game, too much damage. Should have Zhonya, should have ulted. Could have been either. It was just, I guess, a career-defining moment for the worse. I mean, I used to think about this moment a lot back then, after. And there was a lot of men like, oh, I should have done this different, I should have done that different. The biggest mistake that I thought after the game was even going to the Elder Dragon in the first place. I think, if I remember correctly, I think I had TP up, and I should have just split pushed and created pressure with the Baron wave. Then, you know, I could go top, I could go bot, probably top lane, and then force someone to go top, and then I could either just, you know, solo dive them because I was so far ahead, or win the 1v1, and then, you know, get the dragon that way, or make my team get the dragon with my pressure. And I think, you know, opting into the 5v5 at that point was just a stupid mistake.
Right.
All right.
Here's running in as well. On this one's Garrett's going to try and keep them out. Redemption down Ray. Dives back, give it a hold. They kill Jensen! It's Jensen! You have to get the kill. And now Ray.
Wow, this is a lot crazier than I thought it was. I don't even remember getting hit by the Verisol or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's a completely like, it's not even in my memory. I thought I was just full HP, you get hit by the Syndrome, but actually what happened was the Varus ulted me, poked me down to half HP, and then I procced the Ekko shield, and that's how I got one-shot. Yeah, wow. It was completely different in my head the whole time.
There's thousands and thousands of keystrokes in every game. And Jensen really didn't step a foot wrong in this 40-minute game. He made hundreds, if not thousands, of correct decisions throughout the game to get to the point where he could carry it, where he could win, take the title, take down Bjergsen. And it was really one button press that cost him the championship. He wasn't able to get his Zhonyas off. He wasn't able to use his ultimate. He dies there, and that completely changes the game. And it's hard to know for sure, but you have to think that one small change results in them winning.
I mean, at first, losing, it was super tough. I remember, we went back to the shuttle and I went back to my hotel room and then, I just laid in bed, cried for like an hour and, I was really down and then, I remember Sneaky asked me to come out and we went out to get some food together and, tried to cheer me up a bit, but it was, super disappointing. I felt like I let my whole team down and, myself as well. There's only one thing worse than losing. It's being responsible for losing, in my opinion. Right after, there was a lot of thoughts. It was a lot of regrets. Man, I should have done this thing different. I should have done that different. And, looking back at it now, it's I think it kind of just defined who I am now.
That kind of for better or worse, became part of your identity for a year.
No, I mean, at first, all the memes and stuff, it was really annoying. I didn't want to see it. It has a name to it, right? It's like me, if you just end up dying without using your Zhonyas or without using your Ekko, then, it's everyone remembers the moment, right? And back then, man, it was so annoying. I just wanted it to stop.
No one's gonna let you live it down. That's all anyone's talking about it. I mean, hell, the LCS promo going to the next split was all about you not pressing your Zhonyas.
This is NALCS. The difference between second place and a victory lap is just the Zhonyas away.
You can't even buy the item without getting memed for it, and every mage needed that item. So it's something that I think he had to live with, he had to deal with constantly, right? That was how people identified him. And fair or not, everyone just thought of this guy as the choker. You had the game in your hands and you dropped the ball, right? You failed in the moment when it mattered most. So that followed him really for a long time.
The community were really insane back then, so rough on him. I kind of felt bad for Jensen because I don't think he played bad. He was really carrying his team as well. And then you make one bad mistake and the whole world is just against him, so.
I knew it was never going to be easy. So it was just, you have to overcome your failures if you want to succeed, and that's what I had to do. I'm a competitor at heart, and all I want to do is win. And if I give up, then I have nothing. I really feel like League of Legends and competing is all I have going for me, really. It's the most important thing to me, so if I could change something as bad as what happened into, a success, then that does it for me. And it's just something I had to overcome. It just motivated me even more and made me even hungrier because I was I came so close to winning and I only made a few mistakes. And if I just brush up on them, I'll win next time. I felt like that was the peak pressure point in my career. So, there's never gonna be a team where I'm oh man, I'm gonna be so nervous facing them now because I feel like I've experienced it all at this point. We were playing a dive comp, a split push comp, and all we did was try to team fight them. I think it's just, the pressure got to me that we just need to keep fighting and then eventually we'll win, right? But it was not the right approach. And I think, nowadays when I go into best of 5 or finals, I have a much clearer view on how to play the game. We're really close, really close. So I thought, there's no reason for me to make any dramatic changes or try to change teams because I thought in the end, I could have been the difference maker. So I thought, we should just keep trying on C9. And, unfortunately, we were just never really able to win. At the same time, getting a title for C9 was really important to me because, it was the team I started my career in LCS with. So I felt like I wanted to get them a title because they put so much trust in me. But at some point, I had to be realistic about my situation as well. I felt like a player at my caliber should have won a finals by then. it took me like, what, 3.5 years before I could win a finals. And, in my head, that was way too long because I felt like I was better than everyone, so I couldn't wait around longer.
It's hard to say that it didn't change his trajectory, right? Because I think that if you get that win there, if you have that satisfaction, maybe you stay with Cloud9 and we never see that TL lineup that he's winning championships with. It's a completely different world.
Just everything that happened kind of just made winning so much better.
So who will you be right now? Do you believe right now? Will you unleash right now?
Jensen is just enormous at this point of the game. No one can contest.
This is your day. Some wanted to break it.
He is hungry for his first title.
No one's gonna save you.
Your first win is, of all people, against Bjergsen. Obviously that first win matters a lot, but isn't made that much better by beating your rival in the final to get that first trophy?
I wouldn't have had it any other way. I felt like if there was a mid laner I had to beat to get the title, it had to be Bjergsen, right? Because, it was the guy that was always the guy that was my biggest competition here, and people always compared me to him. So, if it would have been against another mid laner, it wouldn't have felt the same to me. I don't even know how to describe the feeling. It was just, everything I've ever wanted, and yeah, it was the most amazing thing that I've ever felt, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. The feeling is like indescribable. If I had to compare it to the Ekko situation, it would probably be like the complete opposite feeling. So I guess in the end, it kind of balances it out because I felt the worst and then I felt the best.
Since that, what has Jensen accomplished?
He won back-to-back titles with Team Liquid, something that can never be taken away from Jensen.
Take it straight to the vein. Do what you're afraid to. Don't show them your pain. Show them who it made you.
Looking back, are you maybe in some ways glad the moment happened that way, or would you rather it be different?
I guess it's cool to have a moment named after you, right? But I think winning would for sure feel a bit better. But at the same time, now looking back at it, I don't really feel remorse or anything about it anymore. It's kind of just like a moment that happened. It sucks it happened, but now it's it's kind of funny to look back at now. So. It's all right.
If you hadn't won a title, would you feel differently?
Oh, for sure. If I hadn't won one by now, oh man, that moment would probably still haunt me.
When you look back, do you think this is the moment that in some way kind of let everything else happen?
It for sure changed me for the better. There was a lot I learned about myself and just how to improve as a player. So in a way, losing wasn't the worst thing that could have happened, because let's just say I would have won. I think I would have never really thought about all these small mistakes I made or how much they actually mattered. So I think it was a good lesson for my career overall, and not just as a player but also as a person, because I had a super big ego. I do now too, but I thought I was better than everyone, and I didn't really feel like I needed to learn more. I felt like I had everything figured out, but that series taught me that you can always improve on small things, and in the end, it will make a difference.
I think when you have a moment that is so career-defining like that, there are a lot of players that would never be able to come back from it. It's something that you have spent literally your whole life up to that point working towards. These players spend endless hours, day in, day out. Your entire year is leading up to this moment. Your entire career is leading up to this moment. And when you lose, it can feel like, what's the point? You know, why am I spending this time? Why am I wasting my life for something that's just not going to happen? And I think for a lot of players, that would have been the end of it. But Jensen went the other direction. He used that to really fuel his fire, to drive him to figure out those small differences that can make the difference in a series like that, in a game like that. So the next time when you step on that stage and it matters most, you're the one that's holding the trophy.
Now let's begin. You're too deep to go back again. Cash is paid to play. You want more hits than lemonade. No, you don't own me. You don't even know me. This vagabond with a two-part path to the great beyond. Say genuine, a ground floor up I can help you find. You're a dreamer, call me when you're Bieber. And when they play it, you can't help but sing along. That's nothing odd, that's nothing wrong. 'Cause a good song never dies. It just reminds you of where you were the first time it made you cry, the first time you felt alive. No good song never. A hole open in the sky, a chance to join their pantheon. For all the times they never heard your battle cry, now even angels sing along, 'cause a good song never dies.